What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American, here today to react and learn about some British etiquette and proper manners when in Britain. So today I want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked British etiquette a foreigner should be aware of. I'm going to be moving to the UK next year. Is there any social norms or etiquette that I should be aware of? I think that this is something that every American that wants to visit Britain should have to learn about. And then maybe, as Americans, we wouldn't have such a bad reputation when we visit other countries and stuff like that. So today I want to take a look at what British people have said and commented here in this discussion as the most important things for visitors like Americans visiting the UK, etiquette that we should be aware of, how to behave ourselves and act normal. Sadly, I think this is something that Americans in particular really need to learn about. So this is going to be good for me. And we're going to start with some of the things they have learned, which is queuing. Queue for everything. Jump and get jumped? Well, I absolutely love this. Queue for everything. Oh, man, that sounds like paradise to me. Here in America, don't get me wrong. We have lines. We call it waiting in line, and a lot of Americans do it, but not everybody. And the idea that in the UK, everyone as a society is like on board with queuing, and it's just normal and expected. That would just, oh man, that would just clear up so many frustrations that me and I think many Americans have about how queuing works here in America. It's not very, it works if there's a very, very clearly designated like line or area to form a queue. But if there's not a clearly designated like a sign that says please form a line, Americans will act like we're just going to stand in a mob and, I don't know, fight over who gets to go first. I don't even know. So, I don't know. The queuing gets me a little worked up because, man, I feel like as a society, Americans, we could get there. And I see that the UK has already gotten there to the promised land of queuing, I swear. So, yeah, for a lot of Americans, this would be some manners, some etiquette that they wouldn't necessarily be aware of or abide by. Some Americans jump the queue, cut in line, as we say. It is obligatory to join a queue if you can see one. Huh. A cup of tea can solve anything. Is this required? A cup of tea, drinking tea, enjoying tea? I can imagine that a lot of maybe British social interactions revolve around having tea. Is that true, or is tea more something that you enjoy in the privacy of your home, or like when you're having a break at work, or do you go out by yourself, or do you usually have tea with friends or alone? That's my question. But having tea and making tea time like a part of life would be a pretty big adjustment for most Americans because we do have coffee, which is kind of our version of drinking tea, maybe, but we just carry our coffee on the go. We're drinking coffee and doing things, whereas I think in the UK, having a cup of tea is like a moment to stop and relax and like have a moment. And you're not necessarily bringing a cup of tea like off to work or like in your car or you know what I mean? So I think it's a bit different, and something Americans would certainly have to get used to. Stand on the right-hand side of the escalator in London. The escalator, like stairs that move. Stand on the right-hand side. You're supposed to stand on the right-hand side of the escalator in the United States as well. And I say supposed to. There's a lot of stuff in America that you're supposed to do that people in the UK just seem to do. We're supposed to form a queue. We're supposed to stand on the right-hand side and walk on the right-hand side so that people can pass you. But that's the difference. In both of our countries, you're supposed to do it. But in the US, you get a lot more defectors. Let's put it that way. People that don't abide by... that's a good way of putting it. We have a hard enough time getting Americans here in America to abide by our etiquette and our manners. So imagine trying to get them to abide by British etiquette when Americans visit Britain. If most won't even do it when they're here at home. I never thought of it like that. Maybe that's why Americans have kind of a bad reputation as travelers and say thank you to bus and cab drivers. This is a nice thing to do in America, but certainly not required. And not even common, I would say. Because I guess a lot of Americans just view a bus driver as fulfilling their job. So it's kind of rare for people to thank the bus driver, maybe your cab driver, because it's a little more one-on-one. But in Britain, would it be rude not to say thank you? Because that would be an adjustment for Americans. I wouldn't even realize I'm being rude if I got off a British bus and I didn't thank the bus driver. I wouldn't even know I'm being rude. So that's good to know. You Bristolians are strange for calling Asda Asdol. I have no idea what we're talking about. I have no idea what this means. Is this English? So in Britain, you call Asda Asdol. I don't know what Asda is. I don't know what Asdol is in Britain. No idea. Feel free to let me know if you know what this means. You guys tip barbers and hairdressers, which admittedly I have never done in my life. Wow. So this is a good one for me to know and for Americans to know. Tipping, as far as like hairdressers, barbershop, you do tip them in the UK. You tip them here in America as well, but I get a little bit confused because I know tipping is a bit different in America compared to other countries. It is a bit different here. It seems like every country has like their own rules about tipping. So you do tip barbers and hairdressers. So do we. So this wouldn't really be something that Americans would have to adjust to. You guys have multiple sizes of trolleys. Trolleys? What do we mean by trolleys? Can I look this up? Okay, is this what we're talking about? Is this is this a trolley? Like for pushing bags and suitcases? Or is this what you mean in the UK when you're talking about a trolley? I'm a little confused. You have different sizes of trolleys? Why is this person getting so excited by this? I don't think I understand this one either. Anything is an insult as long as you add absolute before it. You absolute watermelon. It makes it into an insult. Oh, okay. Does that really count as British etiquette? If you're calling someone an absolute blank? I usually think of etiquette and manners as like politeness, and okay. What are some more British etiquette and proper manners that Americans and other visitors should know? In the UK, it is traditional to salute postmen when you open your door to receive a package. What? Is this true? This is real. This is true? It is traditional. When you see your postman at the door to get your package, you salute them like, "Hey, thanks for my package." Am I doing it right? What? Okay. I hope, if I'm ever accepting a package from a British postman, I hope I don't embarrass myself by saluting and they're like, "What are you doing?" Why do you guys add an S at the end of your supermarket names, even if there isn't one? Example, Tesco's instead of Tesco, Addas instead of Adsa. Is this something that happens in Britain? You add an S at the end of the supermarket name. I've heard about the British Tesco, but in conversation you would say Tesco's? Is this normal? Maybe this is something British people don't even really realize that they do. This is a linguistic hangover when shops were owned by families and named after them. So if the family name was Smith, the shop would be Smith's. So Tesco is Tesco's, even though it's like a big corporation? Okay. I think that kind of explains it. Okay. What's some more British etiquette? When someone says, "All right, mate," reply with, "All right, mate." This is a huge one for Americans and probably people from all over the world. But in America, you don't even use the phrase "all right, mate." We don't even say mate. And if someone said "all right, mate," do you have to say it like a question, like "all right, mate," or like how do you even say it? I don't know how this works. That phrase wouldn't make any sense in America. Maybe I would eventually figure out that you're asking me how I'm doing. And then I would be like, "Oh, I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. How are you?" And that just sounds like that's not what British people are looking for. You're looking for, "All right, mate," just the same words in response. Okay. There is an equivalent to this in America. We say, "How's it going?" And you can respond by saying, "How's it going?" Or you can say, "Good, how's it going?" And they just say good. That's sort of the same kind of thing. It's a way of saying hello. Yes. Okay, so you're not actually asking us how we're doing or if we're all right. And in America, we're not asking how you're doing when we say how's it going. We're just like saying hello. So, yeah, okay. I think Americans, if this was explained to Americans, we get it. I get it. So, thank the bus driver. This must be more important than I realized, because this is the second time that this is coming up. Um, I mean, I don't consider myself rude, but I mean, let me be honest, I don't ride buses. There's not that many buses like that going on in the United States. We're just driving cars everywhere. But if I have been on a bus, or the school bus when I drove to school as a kid in the yellow school bus, we didn't thank the bus driver. Like that wasn't expected. It's a very, very nice thing to do, and I would encourage anyone to do it. But in America, that is not expected. So it sounds like in the UK, this is somewhat expected. Am I correct about that, or I'm trying to figure out how much this is like actually etiquette and proper to do every time. You can just mumble cheers. Oh, you can just cheers. Okay, as you're leaving. Okay. Okay. Okay, fair enough. That's an easy way to do it. Sounds more British as well. Failing to queue properly is punishable by death. Really? I did it by death. Okay. No wonder everyone queues in Britain. You get capital punishment if you don't. No wonder it's so orderly there. Drinking tea is acceptable at all times of the day. It's essential in the face of any serious trauma, disaster, or personal endangerment. Tea is just like this comfort drink for British people. I think this would be pretty jarring for Americans that because tea is just like this phenomenon that doesn't exist here in America. I try to compare it to coffee, but coffee is just something Americans have in the morning, and you usually drink it while you're watching TV or bring it with you and do things. Whereas in the UK, tea is specifically different. It can be at any time of the day, and it's for comfort. It's for comfort and social. Is it for socializing or not? I'm not sure. Um, we're all gender fluid. Right, ladies is a commonly used for males. I think they're trying to make a joke. And yes, put S at the end of everything other than male names, where it should be an O. Put S at the end of everything, not just grocery store names. Or when people suggest meeting up, saying we must have lunch together sometime, it means they never want to see you again. This is British. This is the British etiquette I came for. Yeah, as an American, if someone suggested meeting up with me, we must have lunch together, I would take you at face value. In Britain, it might mean they hope to never see you again. Goodbye. In London, don't jump into a cab and tell the driver where to go. Ask the driver first, and then only get in if they accept? Really? You don't just jump in, like an Uber or a cab in the US? Interesting difference. Yeah, I think most Americans would just get in. That's a pretty substantial difference, huh? Stand to the right side of the escalator. Left is the passing side. We're supposed to do this in America. I'm telling you, we're supposed to do some of these things. We just don't. If you're at the pub, take turns buying rounds. Rounds at the pub. That is a British thing. We don't have pubs. What am I even saying? If we're at the bar in the US, which is not like a pub, everyone fends for themselves, usually. Or maybe you'll take turns buying like a pitcher of beer sometimes. But there's no social expectation of it. Whereas in Britain, it seems like buying rounds seems to be the norm, the expectation. Well, Americans would definitely be totally clueless about that. For some reason, we use the past tense for geruns. The past tense. So, we're sat upstairs instead of we're sitting upstairs. Yeah, we're sat upstairs. That is such a British way of saying that. I never even thought about it, though. Yeah, you use the past tense. I've heard this in movies and TV. Yeah, we're going upstairs. Like, I sounded Australian, not British, but you get the point. Why is that? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Always carry 14 pounds in a small Ziploc bag in case you're stopped and invited to a street party. I don't know. There's a few things here today that I'm going to admit I didn't understand. Like that. But for the most part, this was pretty cool. This was pretty informative. And again, I think this was really useful for me to try to understand British etiquette, which there's quite a few differences to American etiquette, truly. And the expectations just seem a little bit higher in Britain as well as how you should behave, which I really like. I think that's great. I think that's a good thing. But I think a lot of Americans would struggle with this, and a lot of Americans who visit the UK should learn about this. But that might be hoping for too much. But at least this American has learned about this today. Maybe I'll spread the word, or you gotta add S at the end of Tesco. You have to add an S. Everyone will be like, shut up. What are you talking about? What is Tesco? And I'd be thrown out. Anyway, I quite enjoyed this. If you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any British etiquette, British manners, and social norms that visitors should know. That'd be great to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Britain and British culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.